All right. Hello and welcome to this webinar training. I'm Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS, and I'm joined by Jennifer Bourn from Bourn Creative. How's it going, Jennifer?
It's going good.
I'm super stoked to have you here. Jennifer is one of the fellow course creators, so you're in good company here with lots of people building courses. And when I first heard about Jennifer, I actually haven't told Jennifer this story, so I think this will be fun for her too. I was in Montana in the early days of my WordPress agency business, and I was listening to a podcast. We specialized in sites that were very heavy on custom development and marketing automation through Infusionsoft and how that intersected with WordPress. And I heard Jennifer on a podcast, and it was a really good episode. And I was like, man, I'd like to meet that person one day. And then several years later, I ended up meeting Jennifer at a live event. And, I was really blown away at a lot of things. First of all, she's just a wonderful person. But second of all, she's really got it going on in terms of processes, automation, design thinking, good, clear communication. There's so many, so many good things. I'm really happy to bring you in front of the Lifter LMS audience. So thanks for joining us today.
Wow, that's a great introduction. I haven't heard that story, so that's great to hear. And I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I got a few just housekeeping items that just to go over before we get started. Barb, Bud, Helmet, Jason, Nicholas, Scott, Susan, Tom, Tonya, welcome. We've got some more people jumping in and some people listening in on the phone. Tanya is asking, where can I get a hat like Chris? Shoot me an email. We actually got a new rocket. That's the new rocket behind me there. So shoot me an email at team@lifterlms and I'll see what I can do. But so this will be available for a replay if you want to watch it later, but I would encourage you to stick around to the end because we're going to be doing a couple giveaways. We're going to give away our $99 Lifter LMS add-on. If you're already a customer, we can apply that value to whatever license you have. And Jennifer is going to be giving away a free seat in her course called Profitable Project Plan, which is awesome. By the way, if you're a course creator, we'll put a link in the chat to Profitable Project Plan. Jennifer's sales page is like just a great example of how dialed in she is in terms of organization, clear communication, good design. So go check out Profitable Project Plan there. And we're also going to be taking questions. So this is interactive. There's a Q&A feature here in Zoom. So you can ask questions there. You can also use the chat if you want. If you are watching this on Facebook, we'll be keeping an eye on the comments over there. If you want to jump over to the live webinar, if you're watching this while it's live on Facebook, there's a link to join into the Zoom webinar, but feel free just to hang out on Facebook if that's where you are. But if you're going to be considered for the giveaway, you're going to need to be on the live webinar over here in Zoom. Jennifer's also going to be offering up her course here, Profitable Project Plan, and we're going to throw in a bonus, which is going to be a year of the Lifter LMS Universe bundle. And if you're already a customer, we'll just apply that value to your existing license. And that's if you click through our link, which we've got in the chat, which is lifterlikes.com/plan. Full disclaimer, we are a referral partner. And but you guys know I only bring people and projects and products in front of you that are relevant and of the highest quality. So Jennifer, I've learned a lot from over the years. She's gotten me thinking more clearly about design, and just her experience as a course creator is phenomenal. And watching her do it what I would say the right way with, testing and piloting and iterating. And I recently learned this from her, how she kind of puts in this implementation time into her courses, which is sometimes really overmissed, but a really key variable to not just teach at people, but give them some space to do the work. There's a lot of good things that come from Jennifer. So I'm gonna be quiet and just hand it over to you. And take us to school today. I can't wait to learn some more from you today.
That sounds great. So one of the things that I want to make sure you know is that I am not one of those people that can deliver a great talk and watch the chat at the same time.
I'll cover you on that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you're going to be watching that, so I don't have to worry about it then.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
And we'll take most of the questions at the end. So feel free to go drop in your flow.
That sounds great. So I am going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to jump over. And today we're going to talk about how to close sales calls with ease. So let's share my screen with you. And jump on in. Perfect. So again, we're talking about how to close sales calls with ease. So we're talking today all about being tired of being another choice. Like, I don't know about you, but there's nothing worse than going into a relationship with a client or going into a sales meeting and you're one of 3 people they're thinking of considering. You know, it's a terrible place to be. So if you are tired of being another choice, if you are tired of chasing new clients and convincing them of your value, it's easier than you think to attract clients who value what you do and are happy to pay your full fee. It's easier than you think to fill your course with new students who can't wait to get started. The whole idea here is to make saying yes easy by positioning yourself as the best and the only choice. So, with the right approach, with the right perspective, clients will have already self-identified as an ideal client before they even contact you. So let's look at this one more time. With the right approach, prospective clients will have already self-identified as an ideal client before they contact you. That means you don't have to convince them of your value. You don't have to convince them of your fees. You don't have to convince them that investing with you is a great idea because they've already made those decisions before they've even gotten to the sales call. So the way that you do that is through authority positioning. So there are 3 opportunities to position yourself as the best and only choice during the sales process. The first is to be visible, approachable, and undeniable in your authority, right? You want to be visible, you want to be seen so people know that you exist. They can't hire you if they don't know that you exist. You want to be approachable. People need to be able to ask you questions. They want to be able to interact with you. And an undeniable authority. They need to know that you can deliver on what you say you can. So give your audience the ability to recognize, understand, and experience your knowledge and skills. You can do this through publishing blog posts, white papers, ebooks, and videos that deliver solutions to your prospects' problems and challenges. You can do this by publishing content regularly on the social media platforms that your clients are active on. They may not be your favorite platforms to interact with your friends and family, but you need to be where your clients are, sharing tips, tools, information, resources, and client success stories. You also need to share what you know by speaking on podcasts, webinars, radio shows, or at live events and conferences. And then give all your knowledge away and answer questions in forums, online communities, and groups. You're a part of the Lifter LMS Facebook group. One of the best things that you can do to let other people know how great you are and how much knowledge you have in your field isn't by constantly talking about how great you are and how much you know. It's by answering questions and helping other people, right? It's giving back to other people and paying that knowledge forward solidifies your authority position. The second thing you can do is help facilitate a confident buying decision, right? You need to provide the critical information needed for prospective clients to make a buying decision throughout the buyer's journey. So the buyer's journey, step 1, is awareness. It's an understanding that there is a problem and they are looking for a solution. So you want to help people get to know you, get to know what you do, how you can help, who you serve, and why you're the best choice. People need to know you and connect with you, right? People do business with people that they know, with people they like, with people they trust, right? So in this awareness stage, they know that they have a problem. Now they need to know that you exist. They need to know that you can help, that you work with them, and that you can get them to the final destination. The second step of the buyer's journey is consideration. It's the contemplation of options. It's narrowing down those choices to the final one. So in this stage, you need to help people figure out if they like you, if they like your work, they like your perspective, they like your approach, what you have to say. They need to know if they like how you present yourself in the world, because that's going to be an indicator of if they're going to like working with you. Right? So these are things like sharing your opinion and blog posts and showcasing some of your personality. The third step of the buyer's journey is the decision, right? It's the confirmation of choice. So in this final stage, you need to help people believe that you're trustworthy, that you are the right choice, that you are the credible expert you claim to be, and that you have successfully helped other people achieve the same result your prospect wants to achieve. Right? You do this through testimonials and case studies and showcasing and bragging on all the successes that your clients have had. The third step is presenting the logical next step, right? So you need to guide prospective clients to a conversion opportunity, right? You need to guide them to take action, whether it's filling out your inquiry form, filling out your contact form, clicking a button, buying, registering, signing up, whatever it is. You want to identify what's that one thing that you want people to do and drive them to that action. You want to eliminate friction, eliminate distraction, and make it as easy as possible for them to take action. That also includes putting that call to action in more than one place so that wherever the prospective client is on the sales page, wherever they are on your website, moving through that buyer journey, right? Wherever they are, there's a call to action visible that they can move to that next step. So what you can do here, create a powerful call to action for one desired action. Again, eliminate the distractions, place the call to action in multiple places, and don't make the client do any work, right? If they have to work, if they have to think about taking action, if it costs them effort, chances are they're going to move on without taking action. So more specifically, showcase testimonials and case studies throughout your website. Give away the absolute best stuff and information on your blog. In video, in audio, in text, in graphics, whatever it is, give away your best stuff. 80% of the people are going to read it and not do anything, but they're going to remember it was valuable. 10% are going to read it, try to do it themselves, figure out they can't, and they're going to hire you anyway. And the last 10% are going to take action, have success, love you, and refer more people to you. So always give away your best stuff. Share everything you know all the time. Right? We talked about answering questions in Facebook groups, on forums, when you're at events, wherever you are. If there is someone that you can help in some way, do it. And do it without expecting anything in return. Because the absolute best way that you can position yourself as an authority is by being helpful and generous to someone else. They may not reciprocate right away, but they're going to remember that you made them you're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to remember that you were helpful. They're going to remember that you put yourself out there, and that always comes back. And then brag up your clients on social media. If you have got students in your course that have successes and they see results, if you have got clients that have great results after working with you, share those on social media. Brag up your clients. Right? Include a picture of your client, share their success story, share their results, share a link to their website. Make it all about the client or the student, not about you. Nobody wants to hear you talking about, look what I helped somebody do. But when you say, look at what this person did, look at what my client did, look at what a student in this program did, you're making it all about them. And your involvement is secondary. So it's a way for you to showcase the results that people can have and promote the fact that your course or your services were a part of that without being overly salesy, without being pushy about it, or without, feeling like you're bragging about yourself. Authority positioning convinces prospective clients of your value, and it persuades them to take action on their own. That's the key. right? We talked about getting them to self-identify as an ideal client. When you can get them to decide on their own without you that they're a perfect fit, your sales calls are going to get much easier. The idea is to become a sought-after solution. Differentiation here is key. And you hear people talk about this a lot. You hear people talk about you need to differentiate yourself from other people. How are you different? And this is very, very hard for people. For some reason, it is really, really difficult. But it doesn't need to be difficult, right? You need a toolbox full of unique, high-value tools that you can use to close sales with ease. You need to use your voice, talk to people, and answer the phone. When making an investment that feels big, even though you might not think it's big, if it feels big to your clients or your customers or your students, most people, before making a big investment, they want to talk to somebody. They might have a question, they might want to confirm some details, or they might just want to check out to make sure you're legitimate and there's a real person behind this. They just need a little bit of reassurance before taking that action. I always say answer the phone, but always be busy, right? You want to train clients that you're not always available at the drop of a hat. If every time somebody calls, you say, sure, I can talk to you right now, and you give them a half hour, an hour, 45 minutes of your time, you're slowly training them that they can call you at any time and they can just take whatever time that they need. And that's a boundary that is going to erode profits in a services business or in support if you're delivering a course, a program, or selling a product. So I always say answer the phone because very few people answer the phone these days. Too many people are obsessed with only doing business by email or chat. And unfortunately, that's not really how clients like to do things. A lot of times, again, they need that reassurance. So answer the phone and say, I have got a few minutes for you. I have a meeting coming up in a little bit, so I only have about 5 minutes. So let's see if I can help you really quick, or maybe we'll get a call scheduled on the calendar, right? I always give them a few minutes and then schedule a time to talk again. I'm setting boundaries and training the client that I'm not available at the drop of the hat, right? I can answer a quick question, but not go into detail. Number 2, create your own proprietary system that nobody else has. If you're struggling to differentiate yourself, a system in your business that no other competitor has is immediately going to set you apart. When nobody feels good about hiring a service provider that's flying by the seat of their pants, nobody wants to hire somebody who's winging it, right? They want to hire an expert. They want to hire somebody they can depend on, somebody that's reliable, somebody they can trust to deliver what they say they can deliver. When you have a repeatable, dependable, proven system established in your business, every client is guaranteed a consistent, remarkable experience. Pitch your system throughout the sales process and the buyer's journey to your potential clients. Share what the client gets, what's included, and why it's awesome. When you have a system in place that nobody else has, clients are going to wonder, wow, well, why would I want to go with them if they don't have that system in place? Why would I want to hire a competitor when they don't have this in place for me, right? It ups your value and it ups your trustworthy quotient. Now, I created a proprietary system in my business back at the end of 2010, early 2011, that not only helped me reduce time and increase profits on projects, it's called Profitable Project Plan, but it allowed me to more than double my referrals because my clients were so wowed by the system I put in place that they couldn't wait to tell other people about it. So when you put a system in place in your business, like I did with Profitable Project Plan, it's a system that manages the client experience from the sales call all the way through the post-launch follow-up of a WordPress website project. It manages the entire process from start to finish. When I implemented that in my business, it saved me 50% of all the admin and PM time on the business, which increased my profits. But what it did is allowed me to deliver a consistent experience for every client. And that client felt so confident and comfortable in my ability to deliver that they couldn't wait to refer me to more of their network, right? Because people get stressed out when they're making big investments. So number 3, include valuable bonuses in your packages. This is another thing I did as part of the client management system I put in my business. Prospects are going to compare you with your competitors. It's a fact of life, right? If people are making a purchase, they're going to compare options to try to pick the best one for them. So adding bonuses into your packages makes price shopping really difficult, and it increases the value of the offer that you are making. So if you have 2 people offering the same service and a client can't tell the difference, they're going to make a decision on whoever's cheaper. But if you have 2 services and they're different, one has extra value, one has bonuses included, one has a whole system already created that you're going to follow, you can't compare those on price anymore, right? It makes it really difficult for that. So it makes it easier for people to see why you're different and why you might be worth a higher fee. So the key here is that any bonuses you add to your package, any bonuses that you add to your course to sweeten that deal and make it easier for people to say yes, needs to help the client or the student move the needle in an area that's complementary to your core offering, or in a way that's going to support your work together. So for Profitable Project Plan, if you happen to glance at that sales page, you'll notice that there's bonuses available on that page. There's bonuses that are in alignment with the same content delivered in the course, but they cover complementary areas, things that aren't necessarily covered in the course, but things that people in the course are probably going to ask me questions about. So they get that in a bonus. It helps them get more value out of the course. It helps them move their business forward, and everything's tied together in a nice little package because they're all related. Now, the 4th thing is, when speaking at a live event, always ask to go first. This is a little bit different than some of the other tips that I've given you. But if you do a great job at your talk, after your talk, attendees are going to seek you out. They're going to want to come talk to you and ask you questions, or just tell you that you did a good job. If you speak on the last day of the event or at the end of the event, people only have a little bit of time to do that, and then it's over and you don't get much benefit. But if you speak at the beginning of an event, on the first day of the event, or you go first, attendees have the entire rest of the event to come and find you and say, "Good job. I really like this thing. I have a question for you." Number 1, it makes networking a lot easier because you're not having to go introduce yourself to a bunch of strangers. But more importantly, the second thing that does is it makes you look really important because people are coming up to you throughout the whole event. And when you look important to strangers, they kind of want to know what you do. So when strangers see other people approaching you, they're going to take notice of that. They're going to think, who is that person? And when they hear other people telling you how great you are, they're going to want to know more too. They're going to be curious, what are people talking about? And they're going to come over and they're going to find out. There's one thing that you need to do that is more important than anything we've covered so far. One thing that you need to do that is more important than anything else if you want to attract clients, increase referrals, and close more sales with ease. One thing that you need to do to make your sales calls a lot less stressful. And that's just do amazing work. All the branding, all the marketing, and all the positioning in the world cannot overcome a poor experience or a lackluster product. With that said, we're here to talk about sales calls. So I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step sales call process. Everything we've covered so far has been about getting your prospects to self-identify as an ideal client and decide that they are the best, that you are the best and the only choice for them, right? Everything so far has been all about getting people to show up for that sales call knowing, I want to work with this person, I want to hire this person, I just want to make sure that I like them and we're going to have a good time working together. Or I just want to iron out a couple details. Or I just want to ask this one quick question before I make this big jump. So today we're talking about sales calls without sales. And the trick is doing less talking. Sales calls go bad when you're the one doing all the talking. And that happens when we're not very confident in ourselves and we're really, really nervous. We tend to talk a lot and we tend to kind of overcompensate for being nervous. The thing you want to remember is it's not all about you. It's about the client. You're giving away free consulting sometimes on these sales calls as well, right? Sales calls go bad when it turns into free consulting, free coaching, or you giving away the things that you should be getting paid for. The tip here, clients don't need free consulting on the sales call. They need help making a decision. The sales call is all about you helping them make a decision on whether or not they need to buy your course or hire you or buy your product, whatever it is. They are there because they're trying to make a decision and they need a little bit of extra help. And sales calls go bad when you forget to ask for the sale, because what's the point of a sales call if you don't ask for some money? You need to get comfortable asking for money. You need to get comfortable saying, this is the price, it is what it is, and own your worth and own your value. Now, sales calls go great when you ask a lot of questions and the client does the most of the talking, right? You want to ask them questions after question after question. That way you can get all the information that you need. Sales calls are also great when you understand why they are taking action now and what the potential benefit of this action is in their life and in their business. How is taking your course or how is hiring you going to impact their business? How is it going to impact their life for good? And then sales calls are great when you don't have to pitch your services, but the client just asks, so what's next? How do I get started? Tell me more. Then it takes all the stress and the pressure off you and it puts it in the client's lap. So let's talk about hosting a sales call. The step-by-step approach. So you can do this without stress, and you can do this without having to pitch yourself and do the typical dog and pony show of let me tell you about myself and why I'm so great, because that's really uncomfortable and nobody likes that. The first step is getting acquainted. You need to figure out where the client is at right now and why this project is important. Can you help solve their problem? Are you a great fit? And what would it look like to work together are just a few of the questions that you need to ask up front, right? You're figuring out, is this sales call going to continue? Or am I going to say, ooh, actually, we might not be the best fit. Let me refer you to someone else, or let me point you in a different direction. The last thing you want to do is go through a 30 or 60-minute sales call only to find out at the end that the client isn't going to be a great fit. The second thing that you need to do is give them great news. After you've gotten acquainted and you've figured out what their problem is, you're going to let them know the project is a great fit and that you are excited about it. You're excited at the opportunity to get to learn more about the project and the possibility of working together. You want to help the client feel like reaching out to you was one of the best things they could have ever done. And then you just wait quietly and you don't say anything. I know it sounds weird. I know it's super counter intuitive on a sales call to just say, tell them it's a great fit and you're excited to get started and then zip your lips. But here's the thing. If you stop talking at this point, you're not the person that says, let me tell you all about my services. Instead, you wait for the client to say, perfect. So what can you do for me? Like, tell me about your services. Can you tell me about your packages? Can you tell me about your course? When you are quiet on the sales call and you give it that breathing room, most people are uncomfortable with silence. It'll prompt them to make the next step. So share that you're excited, share that you want to talk more, share that it's a perfect fit, that it's right up your alley in alignment with what you do day in and day out. And you can definitely help them achieve those goals. Then zip it and wait for them to ask, what's next? The next thing you're going to do when they say, great, tell me more. What can you do for me? Tell me about your services. You need to gather more details. This is where you say, well, before we get into that, I need to ask you a couple more questions because you need to get information on the project requirements, the timeline, and the budget. Or if you're selling a course at this point, you need to figure out what are their expectations? Like, what is a win for them coming out of this course, right? What do they expect to get? What do they expect as a result? To provide the best information and recommendations to a prospect, you have to understand the core information, which means you have to ask questions, right? You're not going to recommend somebody purchase your course if their expectations aren't in alignment with the results that you deliver, right? And the same is true with services. You're not going to recommend that somebody hires you if their expectations are giant and their budget is tiny, right? This is where you're going to figure out those things. Fourth step, once you've gotten through and you know the budget aligns, the timeline aligns, the expectations aligns, you're going to share your offer. Explain your best offer or package that's in alignment with what they need and the total investment amount. If you're offering your course, you're going to tell them, this is what's included, right? This is what you're going to get. This is what the investment is. So again, explain the offer, what's included, the benefits, and here's the key, why it's a perfect fit for that client, right? You got information from them up front in the get acquainted part of the call. You learned, why are they taking action right now? Why is this important? Why is this the time in their life or in their business that they need to take this action? Now, you've told them what your offer is. You've told them about the investment amount. Now you can tell them why this is a great fit. You can say something like, earlier in the call, you shared with me that X, Y, and Z is going on in your business. In this course, we've got this module or this lesson or this thing that can directly help with that one thing that they need, right? This is where you sell that part, but you don't do it being salesy. You don't but do it by pitching, right? You're just confirming information. You told me that you were having this problem. You told me that this was really important. You told me this was why you were reaching out right now. The good news is we've got a module in the course that covers this exact thing. We've got a lesson in here, an exercise, a worksheet, or I've got a service that's going to help you with this exact thing. This is going to help the client feel really good about calling you and about taking the next step. This is providing them reassurance, right? They want affirmation and reassurance that yes, this is a good idea, because they're second guessing things. This is what people do in the buying process. And the fifth thing you want to do is share next steps. So communicate what happens next to ease their nerves. Right? We just talked about them being nervous and needing some reassurance. So you want to share next steps, let the client know that you're going to send them a proposal, or let the client know that you're going to send them maybe a special link or a coupon code to get 10% off their registration of their course. Something like that, but let them know what's coming next and reassure them. So if you're selling services, tell them you're going to send over a proposal or an agreement so they can review everything you just talked about in writing. And then if they have any questions, they can follow up. Maybe show some empathy and say, I know at the end of these calls, when I'm hiring people for my business, sometimes at the end of these sales calls, we've covered so much stuff. I'm not 100% sure what we covered, and it's hard for me to remember things. So I'm going to send you over a proposal that recaps everything that we talked about in writing, so you can review it, mark it up, highlight it, take notes, do whatever you need to do, and get together any questions that you have. And I'm happy to talk to you again if you have any questions based on that proposal. If you're moving forward with your course at this point, you can say, hey, to sweeten the deal, because you reached out today and I had a chance to get to know you, and I think this is really going to be a great fit, I would love to send you a coupon code to save, 10%, 20%, 25% off your enrollment in the course. But put a limiter on it, like they have to do it in the next 7 days or something like that, right? But make them feel really good about those next steps. And then celebrate together. The last step is to celebrate. Too many service providers and professionals forget to do this, right? Show your excitement about working with the client and starting the project or getting them into the course, right? Reassure them that you're going to help solve that problem and that you're going to help them achieve their biggest goals. So if I'm talking to a client in my business about services, because I do services and courses, If I'm talking to a client on the services side of the business, then I'm going to say, I am so excited about the opportunity to work with you. I can't wait for you to take a look at this proposal, decide that this is going to be super awesome, sign it and get it back to us because I am itching to start your project. I've already got some great ideas that I can't wait to cover with you, right? I'm reaffirming with the client, yes, this person is excited to work with me. Yes, this person thinks that they can do great things on my project, and I'm making them feel really good. Like they want to work with somebody who's as excited about their project as they are. On the courses side of things, celebrating together means showing excitement that they're going to be in the course. If it's a live course, I tell them, I can't wait to see you in the Zoom chat. I can't wait to interact with you or answer your questions on the live Q&A or to interact with you in the Facebook group. Or I encourage them to, get into that Facebook group and start asking questions, introduce themselves, get to know the other people in the group. Right? I want to show them that I'm excited to have them on board and be a part of it and make them feel really good about the process. And that's it. So 6 steps to hosting a sales call that isn't super salesy, right? In 6 steps, the prospective client felt heard, valued, and understood. And you persuaded them to take action without any pushy selling. Now, there are a few last things that I need you to remember about hosting sales calls, about hosting successful sales calls. First, you are the expert. They are reaching out to you because you are the expert. You need to show up to that sales call as the confident leader that your client wants to hire. And you need to bring energy to that call, right? You don't want to show up as the Eeyore, right? You don't want to show up kind of down and dumpy or low energy or, yeah, we can do that. You want to show up high energy and excited, right? If you want the client to be excited, you've got to show enthusiasm. If that's difficult for you, the best thing I figured out is that when I'm doing a sales call and it's important to me, I stand up, right? When you stand up, you're opening up your lungs, you're opening up your chest, you're not crunched down in your chair. You're able to breathe in more air, you're able to breathe deeper. A lot of times I'll walk around because I'll get that blood flowing and I'll have energy going. I perform better as a service provider, and I perform better on sales calls when I am standing up, almost like I'm presenting in front of a room. The energy on the call is just different. So try that if you haven't done it yet. Be the guide, right? Don't let the client drive the call. If you show up to a sales call and you say, how can I help you? And you just let the client start doing all the talking, you're not being the leader. You're not being the guide that's going to bring the client through that sales call. And all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself having been on the phone for 30 or 45 minutes or maybe an hour, and you really didn't achieve a whole lot because the person was rambling on the phone the whole time. So don't let the client drive the call. Show up and be the guide that leads them through your agenda. Let them know this is what we're going to cover, this is what we're going to do. Or keep them on track with the questions that you're asking. Or, I always say, be firm, fair, and friendly, right? Be firm in your offer and your terms. Be fair with your fee and be friendly, because this process can be super scary if they've never gone through it before. You also have to be prepared to say no, but you can say no while being a hero. If you are not a fit, if the client doesn't have the budget, if the timeline doesn't work for you, if the requirements are outside your skill set, if their expectations of what they're going to get don't align with what you're delivering in your course, you need to feel comfortable saying no. Saying, you know what, I actually think that we're probably not going to be the best fit. But be the hero. Don't send them away empty-handed. Be a hero by referring them to another person, another course, a product, or a solution, right? I, for years, have offered web design services. And if someone wasn't a fit and they had very little or no budget, then I'd refer them over to Studio Press to go purchase a commercial theme. If they just needed some little development things and it was not very big and it didn't fit in with our retainers, I would send them over to Codable, or I'd send them over to a freelance developer that I knew. If they needed a large project, if they needed an agency, but the requirements or the timeline didn't quite align with our availability or our skill set, I'd refer them over to another agency. I try never to say no and turn someone away empty-handed, because I want them to leave that sales call, even if it was short, I want them to leave saying, that was worth my time. Even though it wasn't a great fit, I'm glad that I contacted her. I'm glad that we talked. I'm glad that I spent that time on the phone. And then have patience and empathy, right? This might be the first time they've ever invested in an online course. This might be the first time they've ever hired a web designer, or a copywriter, a photographer, or a consultant, or a fitness professional. This might be the first time they've ever done this, and they might be nervous. They might not know how things work. So have patience and show empathy with them. And then 7, never badmouth another option. The client might have a horror story. Your student, your prospective student, might come to you with a horror story from a past course that they invested in. Listen to them, show empathy for their situation, and then move on. Never engage in bad-mouthing the previous service provider or the previous course that they took, right? Never say anything negative about what happened in the past. Listen to their horror story, acknowledge that it happened, move on. What happened to them in the past has nothing to do with your relationship with them moving forward. And number 8, finally, stick to your guns, right? Stick to your terms, stick to the limits, stick to your boundaries, stick to your offers. If you send them a coupon code that's only good for 7 days, make it only good for 7 days. If you offer a discount on your course for 24 hours, make sure it's only for 24 hours. If you break those rules, if you break those limits, you're disrespecting the people that took action within the rules, within the limits, within those boundaries. And you're training people that even though you say your deal is only good for 24 hours, you're training them that if they reach out, they can get it anyway. And that's the last thing that you want for your business. The key, again, for a successful sales call is showing up as the leader to guide a client who's already decided that you're a great fit through the process of confirmation and reassurance, confirming that this is a great choice, reassuring them that they are going to achieve their goals, and making them feel really good about the conversation and their decision to take action. So that kind of covers up, let's see, I'm going to stop my share. So that covers all the things, positioning and sales call. And I've seen the chat going. It's been flashing the whole time I've been talking. So I'm assuming we've got some questions in there. Chris, you want to run us through some questions?
Yeah, absolutely. And great job with that. I have like 2 pages of notes here. So
Nice.
Thank you. And that was really good. And if any of you want to talk live, feel free to raise your hand. There's a feature in Zoom where you can raise your hand. I'm going to start with Tonia's question. She was asking about the fine line between, being a guide and not letting the client run over the agenda of the call versus like being a little open, and like, how do you strike that balance there? That was basically her question. And she also said more specifically, how would you know what or where that line would be between letting the client keep talking or perhaps cutting them off and refocusing them or something like that?
That's a great question, because I have had the fortunate opportunity to be on sales calls with a lot of very rambly, long-talking, long-winded clients who want to tell me their whole story since kindergarten.
Okay. So we're talking to the right person. We're talking to the right person. Okay.
And it's always a little bit, it's always a little bit awkward, right? And the hardest time is the first time. The first time is always the hardest time. But the key of what I do, if they're getting really long-winded, I'll just jump in really quick and I'll say, you know what? I actually can you clarify something for me? And I'll make it be about something they shared. And I'll say, actually, that's interesting. Hold on a second. Let's put a pin in that for later. I've got a question. Can you clarify this for me? Or actually, and I'll kind of jump in that way and make it be about, I have a question about something that you said, and I'll try to redirect them with my question moving forward. If they're getting way off track, I'll say, wow, this is actually really interesting. And it's something I definitely want to dive into if we end up working together, because I think it's important for your project. But today, to make sure that we use the time that we have together in the best way possible, why don't we jump over to this? So I'll validate what you're saying is important. I do want to hear it, just not right now. Like, I don't care about all your details if you're not my client yet. Right.
I have just a personal side question on that is, how did people get really firm on their process and like comfortable in their skin as the guide there? Because it, like, so instead of showing up to the call and be like, how can I help you? Like I'm Jen or I'm Chris and this is my process. Welcome to the call. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited to share with you this journey that we can go on together or whatever. Like, how do you get confident in your process?
That's a great question. One, I think it just comes with time. So the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get. But the second thing that I figured out is if you write stuff down, it becomes more clear. And not just not just typing it out. Like, I'm talking, get a pencil, get a piece of paper. I've got big, like, giant graph paper pads that my husband absolutely hates because they're all over the house. But a pencil and pen on these giant pads is how I map everything out. Writing it down and then running through it out loud will help you figure out where there's wonkiness or where there's kinks kind of in your process. But like, I wrote out an entire sales call script in Profitable Project Plan. That's one of the things that we go through in the sales call model is a script of like exactly what you say and how you say it along the way. But that only came from me writing it down and saying, this is what I want to say when I introduce a call, and writing out a script. And I'm not going to lie, the first time I did it, I tried to read the script and it was like just so terrible. But it gets easier and easier, and you memorize it. And once you kind of memorize what you want to say and how you want to say it, then it just becomes it rolls off the tip of your tongue, and you can use, it becomes more natural. But I wrote out literally the script of, hey, I'm so excited to talk to you today. I'm excited you had the time to be on this call. While we're on the call, like, I have some questions for you that I'm going to need you to answer. I want to talk about kind of budget and pricing and things like that. And then I want to hear about your goals, and I'm just going to kind of run you through the process. And they're like, sure, yeah, let's do this. Like, what's first? Because they don't want to have to do work, right? They just want things to be easy. So the easier you make it for them, the more likely it is they're going to go along with it. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I would add one thing, just a little bonus idea in terms of the writing it down. Sometimes drawing it out, like with an infographic or like a map, and like there's these milestones and phases or whatever. It takes a lot of the uncertainty out there for people, like, oh, this is what it is. Like, this is my secret sauce. This is my journey. Another question related to that from Susan is, can you please explain being a guide yet also a listener? It sounds contradictory.
So being the guide is all about making sure that you stay on track with the call, right? It's making sure that the client stays focused, that the prospective client stays on track, that you move them through the sales call, that they're not getting off on a big tangent. You're not spending, 15 minutes listening to their life, history. So being the guide is showing up as the expert and leading them through the call and making sure that it progresses, right? Being the listener means that when you ask questions, then you're quiet, right? Being the listener means you're the person that does ask the questions, right? I've been on sales calls with vendors I'm trying to hire that are like, so tell me what can I do for you? And they want me to explain everything that I need. They want me to explain what I'm looking for, what my problem is, what I need. They want me to do all the work, right? But as the guide, you need to be the one asking them the questions. So instead of tell me what can you do for me, it's, so what prompted you to call me today? Like, what prompted you to reach out today? What's going on in your business right now? wow, and having that conversation, but asking the question and then letting them talk and not interrupting and being the listener. A lot of times I have clients at the end of the sales call say, wow, I've never had somebody just sit down and listen to everything that I've had to say like this before, or ask me the particular questions that you asked me. So I end up winning a lot of business just because I'm asking very specific questions that my competitors aren't asking on their calls.
I'm bringing up Susan, who asked that question. Welcome to the call, Susan.
Hi, Chris.
How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you. Yeah, it's interesting. As I was listening to your answer. Now, I come from a counseling background, so I'm changing gears, I guess you could say, counseling into tech world. And the reason I asked that question is because, as a counselor or a therapist, really a family therapist, you ask questions already knowing the answer, really, in a sense. But I never really but yet somehow with sales, I'm like, oh no, I'm not a good salesperson. I don't know. I got all this in my head about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you're saying that, I'm like, well, that's just like counseling work.
It is just like counseling. So I was just going to say, hosting a sales call is a lot like probably hosting a counseling session.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So maybe the trick for you is not thinking about it as a sales call, but thinking about it as a counseling session with an outcome.
Yes, I just had that brilliant insight. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Susan, while you're here, you also had a question about what to do when people debate costs.
Yeah.
She doesn't like convincing.
No, and I guess that's like, the counseling thing too. It's like, I'm not a pushy person at all, really.
Yep.
In fact, I'm what do you say? Push easy, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you asking about they are pushing back on the fee that you're sharing, or they're pushing back on sharing their budget with you?
A bit of both, but I'll say whatever the fee is, and they're like, oh wow, can't you give me a better deal, and all that. And then I feel like I have to shortchange myself or something.
No, you do not. So you share your fee, and if they say, wow, can't you give me something better? You say, unfortunately, I can't.
Right.
And the reason is this is what I usually say. Unfortunately, I can't do that. And there's a reason why the package is structured the way it is and the pricing is the way it is. I do this day in and day out, and I know exactly what you need to be successful. And if I offered you a lower price, I would have to take things out of that package to make this a viable product for me, a viable project for me. And if I take things out that I know you need to be successful, you're not going to get the results that you want.
Right. Well, that sounds cool.
And if they still are like, well, I can't afford that. And I say, well, then we just might not be the best fit to work together.
Right. And what about for example, I just talked with someone earlier today. And so, they were like, oh, that's too much money. So then I just said, well, okay, the best I could do for you is to offer it in maybe monthly installments or something. Mm-hmm. So I approached it that way.
Yes.
And then when you say just to zip it up and listen. So then I just, because I wanted to sort of jump in there, but I just no, shut up, Susan. Just let them process.
Yeah. The worst thing that you can do is start negotiating with yourself because you want the deal so bad. Mm-hmm. Right. And I've been on calls with people where they say the price and the client's hemming and hawing. And they're like, well, I could do this. And they start negotiating with themselves and they're dropping the price. On their own, right? You did exactly the right thing. If they are having a problem with the investment up front, breaking it into a payment plan is a really great way to make it an easier yes for clients right up front. You can break it into a payment plan that's tied to milestones, or you can break it into a payment plan that's based on time. If they bill by credit card, they can bill the first payment up front and the next 30 days until you're paid in full. Right? So a payment plan is a great way to reduce objections on cost.
Right. Great. Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. Anything else while you're up here, Susan?
No, I just, other than I think I spent a lot of time reading your sales page. for your course last night because, Chris had put it up, and I thought, and like Chris says, anything Chris puts up, it's worth looking at. So,
Yes.
So I was reading it, and I was like, I think I read it like twice, and it's really long.
It is.
And I felt, because normally I'm a writer as well, so, but I always think, oh, I don't want to brag too much or whatever. But then I love what you said, how by showing the other people, they're kind of doing the bragging for you, So
Exactly.
I really found that was really well done.
Thank you. It's nice when you talk about, I try to make it when I am talking about my course, I am sharing facts.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you get. This is what's included. This is what it is. Luckily, I know my stuff is really good, so I'm really confident in what I say, for that. But then I let the testimonials do all the talking about quality, right? Because I can say my stuff's better than pretty much anything else you're going to invest in. But when I say it, it sounds all crappy. When somebody else says, oh my gosh, I took this course and it changed my whole business. This is like the holy grail of business stuff. Then people are like, yeah, okay, maybe I'll pay attention now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was well done.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the question, Susan.
My pleasure.
All right. Anybody else want to throw your hand up if you want to talk live? You can raise your hand in Zoom there. There was some conversation in the chat about bonuses. And I noticed some people were saying that they give out free courses, ebooks. For your course, you have 4 bonuses. I'm looking at them right here. You have a tools and tech guide, timeline control, another training, design that delights, and then recurring revenue. Like, how did you pick those 4 bonuses?
The first time I ran Profitable Project Plan, I had no bonuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those were the things people asked questions about. So those were the things that I got the most kind of clusters of questions around the first time I ran the course. So I created mini trainings and turned those into bonuses because I didn't want them to be part of Profitable Project Plan, the core system or the core course, because the course is about client management and those are more about doing, right? So they didn't quite fit into the course, and I'm a real big fan of making sure that your course is super tight and that each lesson or each module builds along the one before, and there's a progression there. And I felt that those were kind of side accessory things to cover. So based on questions that came out of the beta, those bonuses were added for the first time I officially launched it.
That's awesome. Tom's more just making a comment about your sticking to your guns on pricing. He said that in the movie Amadeus, the court composer said there were too many notes, and Mozart asked him which notes he should take out. But I don't know. If you have a proven process, like if you want the cost down, you got to take out part of the thing, but it's there for a reason.
Yep.
So, anybody else have something you want to ask Jennifer while we're live here? And we're going to be announcing our giveaway winners here in just a little bit. But I had another one for you just about giving away your best stuff. You mentioned that, like, how does someone get comfortable with that? Because it feels weird the first time you do it. And like you're giving away your proprietary, some really good stuff that's kind of building you up, whatever, or just helping somebody completely for free. Like how do people get zen with that strategy?
It feels really uncomfortable at first. It feels scary because you think, oh my gosh, if I put this out there, then nobody's going to hire me, right? If I put it on my blog, why would somebody pay me money? Sharing your best stuff for free feels counterintuitive to the business owner because you're giving away what people should be paying for or what you're asking people to pay for. So you think, well, shoot, if I give it away, why would anybody pay me any money for it? But when you start realizing that there's a few things that you have to realize to get comfortable with it. The first is 80% of the people that see it aren't going to do anything with it. They're going to take no action. They're going to see it. They're going to be like, yeah, that was good. And they're going to move on. 10% are going to see it. They're going to be like, yeah, I can do this. They're going to try it. It's going to be too hard and they're going to hire you anyway. And 10% are going to do it, have success, love you, and refer their friends to you or share that link across social media. So knowing that 80% of the people that see it aren't even going to do anything makes it a little easier. The second part is knowing that even people that read it are still going to hire you because they're going to forget that they read it.
They don't know it as well as you do, right?
Right? So there's this idea of the right information, like the right person, the right information, the right time. They might read your best stuff, but it's not the right time in their business. They might read your best stuff, but it's not the right person reading it, right? So all three of those things have to line up. So what happens when you share your best stuff, they see it. It drives home the fact that you really are the expert that you say you are. It reminds them how good you are at what you do. It positions you as that authority so that when they are in the right spot in their business for that, they remember, you know what? I remember you. I remember that person. I remember that thing. And they're going to remember to call you or contact you about that. So I have a funny story I'll tell you. I host a retreat called the Accelerate Retreat. And I had the first one in February. And we're at the retreat and I'm talking to a woman who's at the retreat and she's like, oh my gosh, she's in Profitable Project Plan and she's talking about the video training and about how great it was. And then I have the guides and I like to look at the guides later. And I said, well, like the PDFs are like the scripts of the videos. That's why I say, get your PDF out and follow along with the training. And she was like, what? What are you talking about? And I said, and I'll tell you a secret. Like most of the content that's in this course, I have published publicly over the last 8 years. Almost everything in Profitable Project Plan can be found somewhere on the internet. Whether it's through a webinar I gave for somebody else or a training, or it's a talk I gave at a WordCamp, or it's an article on my blog or an article for another site that I wrote a guest post for, all of the things that are in my course are sprinkled through the internet, given away for free. And I have people who are like, I read every single one of your blog posts. I'm so excited to take Profitable Project Plan. And they go through the course and they're like, this was revolutionary. I can't, like, mind-blowing. And I'm laughing. And later I'm like, you do realize that like you read like every blog post, you email me about the blog post, and then you took the training and you're like, this is the same thing. And I'm like, what? So people forget, right? They don't realize it's the same thing. Like I have a blog post on free sales calls, and we just did this training. Like I will have somebody that will read that blog post, they'll watch this recording, and they'll have no idea that the two are the same. So even though you're giving your best stuff away, people forget, they're busy, they get distracted. Video, audio, and text reads different. So it might be the same content, but it feels different to people. So I just think that by giving away your best stuff all the time, you are always playing at the expert level. When everything you put out there is of high value, when everything you put out there reinforces the fact that, yes, this is somebody I want to learn from. This is somebody that knows what they're talking about. When it comes time for them to take action, it's a no-brainer. Like there isn't even a choice about it. Of course I'm going to call Jennifer. Of course I'm going to hire her. Right? You reduce your competition when you're putting your best stuff out there all the time.
Yeah, and Susan mentions it's also the hand-holding, the personal support that people like. I mean,
yes.
The course is curated, and then they also have direct access, right?
Exactly, and that's the thing. You might put all that content out there for free, but you're relying on them, the client. They have to do all the work to put it in the right order. They have to do all the work to figure out how to implement and how to do it. But in your course or in your services, You're guiding them through the process. You're being the leader. You're walking them through it step by step so they don't have to do all that work. The benefit of buying the course or the benefit of hiring you is that you remove a giant chunk of the work and the time that it takes for them to make progress and move forward in their business.
Yeah. I had a question for you about the sales call. I see not enough people, especially if they have an expensive program or service offering, having a phone call. There's only so much you can do by email or contact forms or whatever. Is there like a particular price point, or at what point do you think a product or service tips over the edge where they want to talk to a human? Like, you're doing yourself a disservice by not having these kinds of calls.
That's a good question. For my experience, anything over $1,000, somebody wants to usually get on the phone.
That's exactly what I was. That's what
I'm like. If it's over $1,000, they want to talk to you. Like, they just want to make sure. Sometimes I have people that they call and they're like, I already know I want to do this. Like, I'm already ready to get started. If you just send me a contract, that's great. But like, I just need to talk to you to make sure that that we're good. Like, there's just some reassurance thing that needs to happen. So I found that, anything over $1,000, people usually want to talk on the phone. The higher you go, the more phone calls they want to have. But but it blows my mind when I'm at like word camps or I'm at events and I hear people say, I don't talk on the phone. I only do business by email. I'm like, I can't tell you how much work I get just because I answer the phone. Yeah.
Yeah, Tanya's saying that sometimes she has to negotiate for weeks. And we're also getting a question, is a Zoom call, phone call, face-to-face, like, are they different? Does it really matter?
Same.
Yeah. This is the internet.
If it's, depending on the higher dollar amount I go, the more I would prefer to do a Zoom chat because I want to be able to see their face. Like, when I talk budget or pricing, or I'm talking about things that are going to anchor a price, I want to be able to see, like, did they just do a weird smirk? Because that's going to help me figure out what I say next. So sometimes, like, if I'm talking about, a project that's, over $10,000, or I'm talking about, a project that's a long-term retainer that's going to end up being a multi-year project, and those I always want to do by video chat, or if I can in person, because body language and facial expressions tell you a ton in the sales process.
You mentioned just not being too available and how sometimes clients and customers can take advantage and it'll start to erode the boundaries there. Do you recommend, well, first of all, like, do you recommend like a calendar scheduling tool like Calendly or something like that? Or just handling that by email? And also, how long do you set aside for a sales call? Like, how many minutes or hours or whatever?
Okay, that was a lot of questions. So the first, Calendly works great if you need to like send somebody a link to schedule something and it's not, right away. Like, if somebody calls and I pick up the phone and they're cold calling us, like they just are calling about working together, I'll say, I'm so glad that you called. I have an appointment coming up in about 10 minutes, so I give you a little bit of time. If we can't figure it out then, let's schedule a call. I'll talk to him for about 5 minutes and I'll say, ooh, this sounds like something we should talk about a little bit more. Why don't you open up your calendar and we'll put it on the calendar right now. I will schedule it with them on the spot. The last thing you want to do when you've got somebody live is be like, go to my Calendly link, figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Like, or give me your email so I can write it down and then send you a Calendly link. I'm like, nope, let's schedule this right now on the phone. So we'll do it right then and there. I forgot what your other question was.
Oh, how long, like, if we're doing that, how long should they be? Like, minimum, maximum? Let's say it's first contact.
Well, first contact, like they filled out my inquiry form and I've decided that they're good. They're legit enough to have a sales call, or first contact, like they called me out of the blue.
I guess both, but I was originally asking about a qualified lead. But if somebody finds your phone number and it's the first, what would you do in either situation?
Well, if somebody, like I said, if somebody just calls us out of the blue, I tell them I've got a meeting in 10 minutes. So I give them no more than 5 to 10 minutes.
Is your phone number on your website?
Yeah.
Okay. I think more people need to do that. If you sell
a lot of people call us. Oh yeah. A lot of people call us. They call us about our services. They call about my courses, and they call about the WordPress meetup. But so a lot of people call, but we always say, even if I have nothing on my calendar, I always say I've got an appointment in 10 minutes, because the more time that I spend with an unqualified lead on the phone is time I'm not spent working or relaxing or playing. So if it's out of the blue, 5-10 minutes at the most. If it sounds like it's going to be a great fit, I get something on the calendar right away where we can talk longer. If it's a qualified lead, or it's that second call with somebody that called from out of the blue, I block out an hour on my calendar, but I usually try to keep it somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour.
That's awesome. And for somebody who's kind of new, what is the best way to qualify a lead? Like, what do you have in place before that call that qualifies leads for you?
Right now,
is it the form? Like, what's your budget? What's your like, how long have you been in business? Like, what kind of questions make a good lead qualified contact form?
That's a great question. The form I'm using right now, because I'm in transition and actually not accepting any new clients, is asking very specific questions that I need to be able to qualify a lead and know who to refer it to, who to refer it out to. So one of the things you want to do on your inquiry form is you want your inquiry form to segment leads for you. You want them to filter leads for you. So the absolute best thing that you can do is use a form solution that has conditional logic built in. Ninja Forms, WP Forms, Gravity Forms, they all have conditional logic available. I think Caldera Forms does too. But ask them, what are you reaching out for? And use conditional logic to change the questions based on what they're reaching out for. But you need to ask, why are you contacting me today? Like, what's going on in your business that you're reaching out? Why is this important right now? You want to ask about budget and timeline, right? If they say, my budget is $500 and they told you that they wanted all of these things, it's going to tell you how to respond. So the absolute best thing that you can do is have an inquiry form that filters and kind of qualifies and segments your leads, right? An inquiry form that when you get it in, you can quickly see, okay, what's the scope of work that they're looking for? What's their budget? What's their timeline? What's going on? Gather that information, make them do a little bit of work, right? Show that they're serious and they're not just a spammer, right? Show that they actually have thought this through. And when you get that form information back, you can make the decision to delete it, to refer them elsewhere and say, I'm not going to be a good fit, to say, we might be a good fit, but I'm not sure. I have a couple clarifying questions, or to say, wow, this sounds awesome. We should get on the phone as soon as possible. Right? So those are kind of the 4. When a lead comes in, you either delete it, you refer it out, you ask them some more questions to clarify, or you get on the phone right away.
I love that. And Tonya is asking, how do you do that? Do you have a course for that? So I don't know if you have how to set up your lead qualifying form as part of Profitable Project Plan, or if you need to add a new bonus perhaps, or cover that in one of your office hours sessions. But what's your do you help people with that?
I have a new course coming out April 2nd called Lucrative Leads.
Okay.
It's a lead generation course. It's on pre-order right now. But it's a course all on lead generation. So it walks you through everything from figuring out who you want to attract as a lead and what kind of work you want, all the way through following, like getting the lead to the sales call, right? How do you get them to a sales call? So Lucrative Leads covers that process. Profitable Project Plan, where it delivers everything already done for you, templates pre-written, and all you do is customize it. Lucrative Leads is worksheets and workshop style course. So you're doing the work along the way to get all the clarity you need to set up the system in your business, to get the canned emails done, to get the the lead management system in place in your business. So that's Lucrative Leads.
Awesome. Well, Tanya is saying she wants that with lots of exclamation points. But before we get into learning more about Profitable Project Plan and what you're offering, I notice in this industry, especially if people are more like expert teacher first and maybe a little bit newer to the marketing business side of things, and you're talking about leads and you're talking about sales and you're talking about delivering the product. How do you explain to somebody the difference between marketing and sales?
Marketing is everything you do to get somebody to a sales call. A sales call is what you do from the point that they've told you they're interested to taking their money. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well said. Well said.
I'm like, I don't think there's anything else to say, anything more to say to that. Marketing is getting them to show up to the sales call. Sales is getting them from the sales call to giving you money. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's just I see some people learn it's like marketing is not sales. There's this whole other thing called sales, which is a lot of what we're talking about today with getting on the phone and how you have these conversations and how you be a guide. And this is all part of your bigger course, Profitable Project Plan. Can you tell us more about what it's all about?
Sure. So I found as a small business, I was completely overwhelmed by all of the work you have to do as a service provider and a business owner. You know, if you focus on doing all the work clients hired you to do, then you're oftentimes neglecting lead generation and sales, and you're neglecting all the running of the business, right? And the business starts to kind of flounder. And if you focus on all the other things, then you fall behind on getting the client work done, and you risk, missing deadlines. And that's awful. For a service provider, that could be death. So Profitable Project Plan was my solution to that. I was working 16, 17, 18-hour days, 7 days a week, and never taking time off. And it was like, why am I even doing this? Right? And I needed to get my life back. And I was thinking, do I need to hire somebody? I'm like, I don't want to hire somebody. Like, I'm not comfortable hiring somebody. I don't know how to hire somebody. I don't want to have to manage somebody. Like, what would I even have them do? Like, what would I delegate to them? I don't have systems in place. Like, I was so overwhelmed at the idea of hiring somebody, but I so desperately needed help. And then I saw an ad for Infusionsoft that was like, we can replace an employee. And I'm like, hell yeah, give me that. So I went to one of their events. I bought their software, and I bought it with the intention to replace an employee. Most people buy a marketing automation software for marketing and sales. And I totally bought it to just help me better manage my business. But it got me to start thinking about how can I use automation and systems to handle all the administrative tasks in the business and all the client management part, so that I could spend less time managing projects, more time focused on the work I was doing so I could do better work, and less time overall working so I could actually not work nights and not work weekends and take vacations. So I created that over time, tested it with a focus group, ran it through a bunch of projects, iterated and changed it a whole bunch over time. But then finally got to a point where I had a really, really solid system in place. And all of a sudden, I got to quit work at 5. And I wasn't working on the weekends. And now we take like 9 weeks of vacation a year. But because I have a system in place in my business to manage my client projects, while I'm on vacation, my clients are still getting emails from me on a daily basis. My clients are still getting bonuses and homework, and they're still getting requests from me saying, hey, we need these things, don't forget. And magically, those things are showing up in my inbox, and I don't have to do anything. I'm on vacation and a testimonial comes in because the automated ask went out and the client responded. Or I'm on vacation and I'm getting the site title, the description, the author bio, and then the Gravatar email address, and I didn't have to go hunt those things down. It's kind of an amazing feeling. And I was talking to some friends about this, and they said, oh my gosh, you have to come to WordCamp and talk about this. So I came and I talked about the system, and everybody said, oh my gosh, can I buy this? Like, can I buy it? Can I have it? Like, how much money can I give you for this? And I'm like, I'm not giving this to you. This is my secret sauce. This is my proprietary system. Like, I spent hundreds of hours to set this up in my business. No way. No way. But Years went by. I continued to use it in my business. Our business evolved and changed, and the clients we worked with evolved and changed. And I kind of got to a point where I started looking at what kind of impact that I want to have in this, in this world or in my industry, and what kind of, influence I want to have, or the legacy that I want to leave. I'm celebrating my 40th birthday this year, and it's kind of that pivotal moment of what am I doing with my life, and how can I help other people. And that, combined with the fact that way too many people who are even more talented than I am are struggling to make the money they should in their business because they don't have systems, convinced me to start offering it as a course. So Profitable Project Plan is the exact system, all the emails, all the bonuses, all the things. It's the exact system I use in my business, but I teach it as a course and give you all the materials to help you set it up in your business. So you can automate everything and get your time back as well. So you can live the life you thought that you were going to live when you started freelancing, but maybe haven't, because running a business is harder than you think.
Yeah, and if you follow Jen on Twitter or maybe Facebook or Instagram, I'm not sure, you'll see these 9 weeks of vacation. She does it upright with her family, and I've always admired your ability to balance, work and fun and life. And she has a blog, and she's a cook, and she's got all kinds of other stuff going on outside of business, which is awesome. And I've always admired you for that.
Thank you.
We're offering a bonus if you decide to get Profitable Project Plan through our link. I'll put that in the chat there. We're going to throw in a free year of the Lifter LMS Universe Bundle. And so that's a $299 value. If you happen to already be a Lifter LMS customer and you do that, we'll just add that value to your existing license out into the future. And that's what we're offering. Is there anything else you want to tell the people, Jen? And Tanya's asking how much. How much is Profitable Project Plan?
That's a great question. Profitable Project Plan is $997 if you pay in full. I think it's 6 payments of $197 if you do a payment plan. If we look at, I believe I gave you a Lifter LMS coupon.
Potentially. Kathy, maybe you can look for that.
I will put it in the chat.
Yeah, we'll get that up in a second. Oh yeah, the coupon code is Lifter LMS. Kathy's just letting us know in the chat.
And it's 30% off.
That is very generous of you. That is extremely generous.
So with that coupon, it's 30% off. Plus, you're doing a bonus. Right? So
Yep.
They say 30%, and what do they get?
A $300 bonus, which is our Universe Bundle software, or that value added to your existing license.
So combined, that's like a $600 value.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for doing that. And thanks for doing this discount. And we're getting some questions on how do you get this. Click on the link in the chat here. It's lifterlikes.com/plan. And that's, if you go through that and then use the coupon code LifterLMS, you're going to get the 30% discount and the Lifter LMS bonus as well. We just reposted the link in the chat again. It said it didn't take you anywhere. Let me see. It's taking me somewhere. It's taking me to Jen's site. Is it taking you to the site?
Yep. It takes me to the site.
If for some reason you can't get through it, Tonya, just get in touch with us after you make it happen, and we'll make it right on our side from Lifter LMS. So
oh, she said yes to the site.
Okay, she got it. Yeah, you got to read the whole page. Jen has a long course description there. I love it. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this thing before we take it down. And I'm going to use it as a model for like how to write a good course description, because it's really good, really solid.
Thank you.
So, oh yeah, Tonya was expecting PayPal to come up first. No, this is the course description or the course sales page here over on Jen's site. So we're going to announce our giveaway winners. So there's two announcements. So stay here if you're still here, because only the people on this call are eligible to win. I saw Kathy post it. I lost it for one. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So Eric Gracietta is the winner of the free year of one of the Lifter LMS $99 add-ons. So congratulations,
Nice.
Eric. You can email us at team@lifterlms.com and we will hook you up with that. And let's see, we got we just drew the profitable project plan winner, and the winner of that is David Lorenzi. So congratulations, David, on winning profitable project plan. Free access to that. So congratulations. Hit up Jen. The best way to get a hold of you?
I'm just Jennifer I'm not. I'm Jay at jenniferbourn.com. You can reach me through there.
That's awesome. All right. Well, congratulations, David. Congratulations, Eric. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming on. And this was a wonderful class on sales. Thank you so much for doing this training with the Lifter LMS community here. I learned a lot. I bet everybody here did as well. Let's thank Jen in the chat there. And yeah, appreciate it. I wish you all the best on your course. And thank you so much for sharing your time with us here today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was a good time.
Absolutely. All right.